Alright, welcome back to Good Times and Good Choices. So, I made a good choice. I kind of had to do a lot of self-reflection because I've been to this fork in the road many times before in my life. And the fork in the road is something requires a very small, modest charge. And I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. And, that probably is fiscally responsible in a way because those little charges add up like mosquito bites and dents in a car, and it can really be problematic. And let me fix my audio. It looks like it's a bit low. All right. So, yep, that looks better. So, on the one hand, that probably is a decent financial strategy, especially long term. But on the other hand, in order to make some money, you need to spend money, and making investments is important. It's more fiscally responsible to make wise investments than it is to just hoard all your money. So, what better investment, honestly, could you possibly make than education? That, in my mind, is the best investment you can make. And literally for $5, I can learn all I want to learn about cloud, pretty much. And for less than $50, for like $30, I can build a pretty extensive cloud project and end up making, increasing my salary. Trad network engineering pays less than cutting edge cloud. So for $5, I could get very easily an extra $20,000-$30,000 a year. So it's like I kind of had to do a lot of self-reflection and come to terms with my instincts. On the one hand, it's a great instinct short term to not rack up these little charges and kind of death by 1,000 tiny needle pricks. But on the other hand, if you're just so tight that you're not willing to take small risks for big rewards, that's even worse of a situation. So let's take a look at what we got here. Okay, so I've got access to DigitalOcean now. I created an account, so I did have to give a credit card, and then I did have to authorize a $5 charge that will not be refunded. It will be applied to the first project I make, but it will not be refunded. So one thing, but it is a charge that will remain. So I gave them $5. So the next thing I would like to do is see if I can look at that payment information more closely and make sure that I can set a limit on that payment information. So I am going to pause it for this and maybe look at the pricing tab and just see if I can set a limit so that I can prevent it from draining my account. Okay, so I'm pretty comfortable sharing this. I just don't want to show anything about my public, my card information or anything like that. Not even like the card I'm using or anything like that. But we can see the billing page here. I'm very comfortable showing this. We've got how billing works. We've got my estimated due. We've got credits applied, prepayments, total usage. We do have more on this page, so I'm gonna take a look. I think what I'd like to go through is this how billing works section, and then I will look at what else is on the page. So I'm gonna pause it and do that. All right. So the next thing on the page, you can see I scroll down about a third of the way. We've got this support plan here. I think this looks good. We can see the plan costs $0 a month. So it's just that one $5 charge to learn everything I could possibly want to learn about cloud, which could net me, $20, $30, even more $1,000 per the year. So definitely a great investment, and it's an investment in education too, which is always a wise investment. So this is where I think under this billing alerts, you can set up automated billing alerts to receive emails when a specified usage amount is reached. So I want to set that up so that maybe I can set up a restriction. So I'm going to look into that. I'll pause the video. Okay, so now we've got a something just popped up here to set the billing alert amount. So we can edit it so that the monthly balance reaches a specified alert amount. I think 20 is kind of high for me, so let's just do $5 for now because you know, I don't want to 20 can add up quite a bit. You can get you know, 22, you know, hundreds of dollars. I'd like to hopefully be able to cap everything I'm doing on here at like $50. The goal is to just have a portfolio that shows my education as and training and experience as a experienced technology professional, and having a cloud project will, as I said, increase my value by quite a bit. So it's just a matter of how much I want to invest into that project, and I really don't think I have to invest a lot. I mean, I have that great trad networking experience and training, and honestly, it's not even all trad networking. It's working with MDSO or orchestration tools. It's working with Python. You know, ACI. I have experience with Cisco ACI, so it's really not all trad. I even have experience with like AWS. You know, S3 buckets and things like so. I'm right there. I'm ready to go to be really useful and valuable in the cloud space. I just need a project to really put in my portfolio and demonstrate my knowledge. So hopefully I can get that for $5 a month or less. I guess 20 I would be okay with, but for now let's just see if I can cap it at like 5. Okay, and I'm gonna pause the video and look at other parts of this page. Okay, so the rest of that page had my personal information on it, so obviously not going to show that. When you click how billing works, you get another tab that opens, and we've got a overview on the billing. So I'm going to read this whole article out loud as much as I can, because this is important for people to understand. Because it's not, the thing is, the great thing about cloud is it's all scalable. I mean, if you're upset about, you know, spending $5 on it, give it a try and build a product. Oh, wow. You made $500 through your product, whatever it may be. Bump it up to 50, you know, bump it up to that 500, because you can scale it. You can scale whatever you're building. So this is important to learn about this billing, because if you want to scale your project, because it's actually bringing in income, and you can increase the income it's bringing in just by investing a little bit more, knowing how to do that is important. So the most viewed billing articles are how to manage payments methods, then bandwidth billing. So let's look at bandwidth billing, because I think this is how you can scale. Invoices, how to pay, promo codes, if services go down even though you've paid, what happens with late payments, why isn't Google Pay an option, and then how do I update my contact and company details. So we're just going to look at bandwidth billing for that. DigitalOcean billing cycles are monthly. Your account balance accrues over the course of the calendar month based on the cost of the resources you use. We are also required by law to apply taxes for certain countries. We automatically invoice and charge your account's primary payment method on the first day of each month for the previous month's usage, or partway through the month if you exceed your account's usage threshold. Interesting. So they automatically invoice and charge your account on the first day of each month for the previous month's usage. So if my usage is 0, I will be charged $0. If my usage is $5, then the first day of the next month, I will be charged $5. Now you can change your account's usage threshold. I might have set that before. I'm not sure. We do need to learn about that. If your usage threshold is exceeded, then you will be charged earlier. So let's watch this crash course here.
Meet Sammy. Sammy wants to show off their cool pictures on a website that they're building with the popular lamp stack. After Sammy creates an account and adds their card, they notice a small charge. This is just a pre-authorization hold to validate their card that will go away in a few days. Sammy decides to get started with a $10 droplet. Since DigitalOcean's billing cycles are monthly, Sammy's card gets charged for $10 plus their local taxes. Since Sammy is just starting out, they decide to play it safe and put the whole lamp stack on a single droplet. A few months pass, and Sammy's website is getting a lot of attention. The single droplet Sammy spun up can't keep up with the added traffic, so Sammy decides to add a few more resources to meet the demand. Obviously, Sammy's next bill is much higher than their usual $10 plus taxes. This is because our pricing is based on the resources you consume. And so Sammy's bill includes the charges for all of the resources. The easiest way to get detailed information about the various resources you're consuming is to check your month-to-date summary in the control panel. A pro tip to keeping tabs on your expenses is by setting up billing alerts, and we will email you if the month-to-date spending exceeds an amount you specify. Back to our friend's billing journey. After a couple years, Sammy has moved on to other projects and doesn't need as many resources to support their site, so they decide to power off one of their droplets. However, Sammy still gets billed for all of the original droplets in the next billing cycle. But why? This is because when you power off a droplet, you're still billed for it as your disk space, CPU, RAM, and IP address
When you power it
reserved,
off.
even while powered on. Therefore, charges are made until you destroy the droplet.
You gotta destroy
If you don't need DigitalOcean temporarily, then simply destroy all your resources, like droplets, load balancers, CDN spaces, unassigned floating IPs, etc., to avoid getting any accidental bills. As you can see from Sammy's example, with a few tips and tricks, it's easy to navigate the billing of DigitalOcean. No more surprise bills, no hidden fees, and definitely no need to get a PhD to decode bills. Happy coding!
So the other thing that's really important to understand with putting everything on a credit card is your credit score will go down the more, the higher the balance on your credit card. So let's say you do a project for $1,000. Let's say you do it for $10,000. Once that charge goes on your credit score is going to go down because you're utilizing a lot of your existing credit. So you have to be concerned about that. If you need to do something that requires having a good credit score, before anything else, you need to pay down your credit to zero, make early payments on it, because that will increase your credit score. So if you want to put this on a credit card, as I did, you have to be really careful that you have to know that your credit score is going to be affected. And if you do a larger project, while those charges are on your account, utilizing your credit score will be lower than it is usual. So if you want to use your credit score for something, you have to be aware of that, and you'll have to make early payments to increase your credit score. All right, so payment, how to pay your bill. So billing alerts. So this is billing alerts. I think that's different from the usage threshold. Let's take a look at the usage threshold. Okay, so I'm not sure what this is exactly. So usage thresholds are predetermined spending limits for new or verified users that, when met, triggers a charge on the primary payments account. And so I guess they charge you earlier if you're not an established user. If you've been on there for a while, they'll remove the usage threshold, and then you can use it as much as you want. So there's like a limit to how much you can use it if you're a new user of it. Okay, so then we've got the charges, bandwidth building, tax information. Okay, so I'm going to move on to bandwidth building, and then I'll pause the video. This will be the last part of this section. So details on bandwidth building for DigitalOcean products are included in the retrospective products overview pages. So that's important to know. Anytime you want to use a product, go right to that bandwidth billing page. This page summarizes the same information for all products that charge for bandwidth. Bandwidth billing is automated, and you can view your charges on your invoice. There are no regional variations on bandwidth pricing. You can calculate bandwidth costs using our calculator. All right, so droplets include free outbound data transfer. Excess data transfer is 1 cent for gigabyte. And there are alternatives as far as I know. DigitalOcean is one of the things you can use. So these prices might change. Any data transfer sent by a droplet using a public network interface will count against the transfer pool for that droplet's account. Transfer allowance is pooled collectively at the account level. All right, so that's all I want to read from that. Looks like load balancers are bandwidth neutral. That's probably good to know because load balancers yeah. Okay, so there are some things that don't accrue charges in the way that might be expected. Let's look at the calculator. So okay, so here we can have for $12 a month, we can get a droplet that will exist for 722 hours in that month. I'd be interested to know how much per day. Outbound, this is the most data. So this is for a droplet. I'm not sure what a droplet is, but I'm sure we'll figure it out going through the tutorial. I want to see, so in a month, so a month, let's say a month is 30 days. And then for each day, a working day is 8 hours. Okay, so it looks like there's every business day during business hours is covered by a lot for that. So I'd like to figure out how much per day. So I'm going to do 722 divided by 30. So okay, so it's about 24 hours a day, a little bit more. So you can have the droplet up for every day of the month. That's good to know. Okay, so I'm going to pause it, and then we're going to go back to the instructions here, and we should be able to follow along now that I have an account. All right, I'm back. So let's take a look at the tutorial here. So I already read the README, and I've been doing it in here. So we're on the prereq section, so we can mark this off. We got an account for DigitalOcean. So okay, so the next thing we need is a personal access token, and I'm a little bit concerned my private billing information, even just like the card, any information at all about like the card I'm using, I want to try to keep that as private as I can. So I'm going to pause it and click here and then try to create my personal access token. And as before, I'll unpause it and check back in if there's anything notable to point out that is safe for me to point out. All right, so it just took me to a tutorial page. This is how to create a personal access token. So I need to generate a personal access token. So I need to go to the control panel, then click API, and then click generate new token. So it should last for 90 days. Write, read, and then click generate token. So yeah, and then we can, okay, so that's the other thing I'm going to have to be really careful to do in this series is to keep my token private, because I think if anyone has my token, then they can run up charges on my card, so I'm gonna have to be really careful with that. But you know, that's great. Like that's practicing good security, good hygiene, doing a project in a way. But just, you know, there might be times where I do a whole video and then at the end I show my private key. And it's like I can't even post the whole video. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I'm gonna pause it now and set up that key. I'll be right back. All right, I've got my token now. I've got to be careful to keep it private. The other thing that's important to know when setting up a token is you only get temporary access to the token. You're meant to use the token to set up your access to the API, and then after that you can't see the token again. So the security of your token is very important, and there are some best practices in place for that. The first one is your token is only available for you even to access for like a few hours, 24 hours after you create it. And then the second is you need to follow the instructions to get it set up as soon as you use it, and not just leave the raw token laying around. So the next part would be the doctl utility, and then kubectl. I'm not sure what's going on there, but let's just go right down to the authentication page, because this is where I use the token. So, so what we're gonna do is open up a terminal and then type in doctl auth-h. Okay, so doctl cannot be found. So that's one of the prerequisites, is to install it. And I'm not sure the best way to do that. I'm going to click this. Well, you know what? I'm going to pause it and click that because I'm just paranoid that my token will show up somehow. All right, I'm back and I've got the instructions here. So yeah, it looks like it's just as easy as the snap. But there are some extra security steps to go through. And then there's the token steps that I already did. And then using the, so this, it looks like I need to go through all of these steps. I'm not going to be able to do them all on camera because I can't share that token, but let's get started with the first step. So the first step is running that snap command that was suggested already. All right, and then on to the next step. So for security purpose, snaps run in complete isolation and need to be granted permission to interact with your system's resources. Some commands require additional permissions. Using integration requires a personal files interface, so we need to enable it by running this. Okay, so that's complete. Using this command requires the core SSH keys interface. To enable it, now we need to run this. Okay. Then using this command requires the interface here. So enable it, we're going to run this. All right, so the next step is to create an API token. Did that already. If I install it using Snap, I first need to create a user configuration directory if it doesn't exist yet. Let's see if that does exist. So it's, we're going to cd here and then do ls-a. Yeah, so it looks like we do have a user configuration directory, so that's good. Okay, so here's where I put in the name of the key. So I'm going to do all of this off camera, and then yeah, so I'll do the rest of this off camera. So I'll be back in just a little bit. Alright, I'm back. So I fed in my token. I'm going to close this page because that page has the token on it. I'll close this one as well because I don't need those instructions anymore. So authentication context lets you switch between multiple authenticated accounts. So I don't need to do these commands because this would be to switch between the accounts, and I only have one account. I did have a really good conversation with ChatGPT. I think one of the things ChatGPT really excels in is to help you choose naming for things. It just if for nothing else, it gives you that moment where you're like really deeply thinking about it, and it can kind of structure your own thinking. So first of all, I didn't even know what they meant when they wanted a name in this command. My first instinct was, oh, they're asking for the name of my API key. And I might have actually volunteered that information over if it weren't for ChatGPT. But you can see here I asked it, are they asking for the name of my API key? And it gives you a very clear answer. No, absolutely not. You need to keep your API key private. What this is a name for basically your authenticated account, like the context you are in, and you can switch between those contexts. So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing a tutorial. The tutorial is on Kubernetes. It's the starter kit tutorial for developers. So the name I decided to go with was K8 _ starter kit in camel case there. We can see it gave me a few suggestions based on the README that I sent it, but ultimately I decided to make up my own, and it validated my opinion there. K8 is a common shorthand for Kubernetes. What it stands for is the first letter, and then there's 8 letters. Well, it looks like there's 9 or 10 letters, but okay, well, I don't know what's going on there, because I was going to say that K8 stood for the K and then the following 8 letters, but it actually looks like there's 9 letters. So let's ask it that. So explain to me K8 and why it is a shorthand for Kubernetes. Wouldn't it be K9 since there's 9 letters after the K? Oh, okay.
The term K8 is indeed a shorthand for Kubernetes, and the reasoning behind it is a bit different than simply cutting the letters after the initial K. The 8 K8 represents the 8 letters that are omitted in the middle of the word Kubernetes. So, it's a numeronym where the number 8 stands in for the 8 letters Kubernet. This kind of abbreviation is common in the tech industry for long or complex words.
What
The use of numeronyms became popular partly for ease of communication, especially in online and written contexts where brevity can be beneficial. Other examples include I18N for internationalization and A11Y for access.
Oh, okay. So it looks like the actual abbreviation is K8S, but that's okay. I don't need to change my name. I went with K8. So happy with that. Now I can show this. It asked for my token. I can't hit a right click, otherwise it would paste it in there. But we can see I validated my token. I'm gonna copy this and then do a Control-C and then do another copy like that, just so my clipboard is cleared out. Okay, so that is complete. Oops, and it looks like something happened, so I'm gonna pause it. Okay, it looks like some way, somehow, Visual Studio closed. I don't think I'm at risk of having my key okay, so it's just popping up randomly now. I don't know what's going on. I'm really worried that my key will somehow be displayed with this erratic behavior that I wasn't expecting. So I'm going to pause it and see if I can get Visual Studio to act more predictably. Okay, it seems to be more predictable now. So let's proceed with the final prerequisite. The final prerequisite is to install kubectl for Kubernetes cluster interaction. So here's the documentation for that from the Kubernetes page itself. So we're going to install it on, it's tricky. We're actually going to install it on Ubuntu Linux because even though I am running Windows, I'm virtualizing Ubuntu through the Windows subsystem for Linux. So this is actually where I'm installing it. So the first thing to do is to download the latest binary, and it's either x86 or ARM. I'm using x86. I just know that. To determine which is which, just ask ChatGPT. That's kind of the exact question that ChatGPT is really perfect for. Okay, so I right-clicked on the curl. And I'm curling that down. So then the next is to validate the binary, and this is an optional step. I might as well just do this because it's a good thing to know how to be able to do, and since this is a learning channel, I'll show this. Okay, so now that it's now that the file is downloaded, we could assign a checksum to it by running a command. The other thing we can download, in addition to the file itself, is a file that shows what the checksum of the data was before it was downloaded. Okay, so now that we have that file, we can compare what the checksum of the data was before it was downloaded to the data now that I've downloaded it, after it's downloaded. And if anything happened, any little thing changed, one single 0 was flipped to a 1, anything like that, and it's not the exact same file, we're going to know because it won't match the checksum. So the next step is to run the kubectl binary against the checksum file. And I went over this quite a bit in the LPIC. So there we go, we got an OK. So the download was fine, nothing got corrupted during the download. So now we move on to installing kubectl. We're going to install it for the root owner in the root group with these permissions, no special permissions. And yeah, it'll be under a user local bin. Okay, so after that, we're going to test to ensure the version that I installed is up to date. There we go. And then we're going to install using native package management. So I'm using a Debian-based distribution. That's what Ubuntu is. So yeah, so now we're going to install it using native package management because we got the package natively on the computer, so we don't need to reach out to a repository anymore. So first thing we're going to do is update the package index and install the packages needed. Now I'm just wondering if this is an alternative step. I'm just wondering if this is the same, like if this is an alternative, so that I wouldn't need to do this because I did the other. But I don't think that's the case. I think these are different files. So let's follow along. Sudo apt-get update. All right, and then gonna install. Yeah, so these are completely different things. We need the apt transport HTTPS. We need the CA certificates. This is a big one. I think this has to do with that verify false thing we saw in the series on Ansible. And then I probably already have curl, but if I do, then it will just skip it. All right, so that looks good. The next one is the public signing key for Kubernetes package repositories. This is the same signing key is used for all repositories, so you can discard the version in the URL. Okay, so I'm not sure what that okay, so you can disregard it and just plug it in. This is the version that's used. There aren't any other version options, so there we go. All right, looks good. Add the appropriate Kubernetes apt repository if you want to use Kubernetes version different than that. I don't think I. Oh, okay. So it looks like there was a. There. Okay. So let me see if anything in the tutorial mentions the version. Okay, no results. So it's probably. There probably isn't a this is the correct version to use, so there we go. Alright, and one thing I would like to do is stop this video and upload it very soon, because I'm really afraid, and we can see it says keyring, like I'm just afraid my public key is going to get out there. And I don't want to have to burn like an hour video. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to verify. Then we've got all the prerequisites complete. So I will stop the video and upload it. So that's this step here. I'm going to move on to step number 4. Alright, and then install using other package management if you are on Ubuntu. So I think we have it already. We used it with native packagement, and we might even have it twice because I installed it with the binary as well. So it's unclear whether you do all of these steps or whether you do one or the other. I think you do one or the other. So unfortunately, I think I installed it twice. I'm going to skip this third way to install it. And as long as the verification is good, then I'm all set. So we're going to do kubectl cluster-info. Alright, so we can't get the current API server connection refused. Let's see if that's listed there. Yeah, so that's here. If you see a message similar to the following, is not configured correctly or not able to connect to a Kubernetes cluster, so you will need a tool like Minikube to be installed first, and then rerun the commands stated above. And I'm not sure which commands they mean. There's only one command stated above. So in order for it to find a Kubernetes cluster, it needs a kubeconfig file, which is created automatically when you create a cluster or successfully deploy a Minikube cluster. So I want to be careful with this too, because I feel like I could accidentally create resources that I would get charged for. So the point is, the command went through. It's a connection refused response, but the command itself ran. So I do have kubectl set up now. So I think I'll move forward and I'll get back to the actual tutorial here. I'm going to consider these prerequisites complete. So thanks for watching, and come back to the next video where I go through step 1.